This is Brian Omer from the group Stonecutters in Louisville, Kentucky. Congratulations to Mark Jackson on 200 episodes of the Metal Forge. Be on the lookout for a Stonecutters interview coming soon on the Metal Forge.
Hellwolf of Black Knife here, just stopping in to say congrats to Mark and Metal Forge on 200 awesome fucking episodes. I can say truly and honestly that I'm a big fucking fan and I listen to every episode on my commute to work because it fucking rules. Keep kicking ass and congrats, you all. Hell yeah.
Hey metalheads, you like tattoos? Of course you do. If you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, come on over the bridge to Clarksville, Indiana and get you some ink done at Ageless Art. If ink isn't your thing, they have a piercing studio as well. Visit agelessartclarksville.com to see some frequently asked questions, meet the staff. The shop is open Monday through Thursday, 12 to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 12 to 10 p.m., and Sundays, 12 to 6 p.m., all appointment-only spots. You can set up your appointments by phone at 812-283-1793 or email agelessarttatooandpiercing@gmail.com and someone will get you set up for your first or your next tattoo or piercing.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.
What's up, Metal Forge fans? This is Alan Bishop, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest and head distiller at Spirits of French Lick. Do you find yourself drawn to the unexplained, fascinated by the Fortean, or enchanted by the paranormal? If the things that go bump in the night resonate in your mind, then tune into my brand new podcast, If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything. Featuring first-hand accounts, collected stories, interviews, history, and speculation related to all things not of this world. Available now on Anchor, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and more. Sit back, relax, and remember, if you have ghosts, you have everything.
Thank you for tuning into the Metal Forge. I am Mark Jackson and I am your host. The premise of the show is pretty simple. Awesome interviews and awesome music. If you want to contact me, hit me up at metalforgeradio@gmail.com or visit the website metalforgeradio.com. And now, let's get this show on the road.
What is going on, metalheads? Thank you all for tuning in to this week's episode of The Metal Forge. And we are here. It is finally here. Episode number 200. Wow. 200 episodes of The Metal Forge. That has been absolutely crazy. Thank you all for tuning in each and every week. It has been awesome fun to come through and do these shows because I like doing The Metal Forge. And you all seem to be like what you like to... Jeez, I can't even talk today. It seems like you all like what you hear, which is awesome because, I will sit there and say, for all of the 200 episodes, it has been kind of rough to keep in with like the website and everything like that. I think going forward, I might try to consider finding somebody to manage just the website for me. You know, just updating the guests and things like that. It does kind of get a lot, you know, especially now that we've got 200 episodes, and it is a special 200th episode because where am I at? I'm Mr. Lloyd Kaufman from TROMA is here. He is going to be talking about some awesome, cool stuff in his career and life in film, and just awesome other things in general. And both Athena and Jason are going to be on the line with myself and Lloyd, and it's a cool, magnanimous episode. Not only that, but we also have a dual feature of Metal Mischief and the Heavy Metal Wasteland for this week's 200th episode of the Metal Forge. You know, if this is your first time listening, back in 2019, I started the Metal Forge at a low power FM station here in Louisville, Kentucky called WCHQ, Crescent Hill Radio. And their metal guy had recently left, and I sent an email saying, hey, I see you don't have a metal show anymore. Would you all be interested? And they gave me an interview and a tryout. That was December 28th or something like that of 2018. And that original show was called The Pit of Despair. And the station president and founder was just like, you know, I really don't like the name Pit of Despair. It kind of brings it down. And I thought for a couple of days, and I was like, well, what about the Metal Forge? That sounds like it'd be pretty cool, because we're forging metal. It's all about the metal and lifestyle and culture and the bands and everything. And they were like, that's a great name. So the Metal Forge was born. The first episode was July 3rd of 2019 with my friends in the band Rifle, and the original idea was for the bands, these hard rock, metal, punk bands, to come on and do acoustic versions of their songs, you know, where you didn't have to do everything electric. That lasted about 2 months, and then the station was just like, you know, we've got a lot of equipment here. You know, you can have these guys plug in. If they have to bring amps, we've got an isolation box. The bass can run direct. I was like, you know, let's see how it goes. They had a drum set with, you know, like the mesh heads and everything. That was pretty cool. So, you know, Belushi Speedball, I believe, was the first actual guest that played in the radio days as an electric performance on the Metal Forge. And from that point on, you know, I've had so many awesome people come in the show. The first year was all Indiana/Kentucky bands, because that was part of the bylaws of the station, is it had to be a, quote, local artist. That was what their whole programming was. And unfortunately, at the end of 2019, the station shut down due to funding. And that sucked. That was devastating, because, you know, putting in so much time and effort into a show, that where we did some crossover episodes, where we did the show that came on after mine was Zach Becker's Midnight Oil, and we did like the Midnight Metal Forge, where I would come on at 7 at night and go my 2-hour block, and then he would come in and I would stick around and we would do his 2-hour block as well, and then we would take over like the middle hour, because he came in from 10 to midnight. It was super fun times, and I really enjoyed it. And then when the station shut down, I took about 3 weeks off to regroup and say, okay, what are we going to do? How am I going to move this forward? What is the next logical phase? Because I spent a year of my time with getting bands together and promoting my scene here in town. And then after that, it's like, well, I don't have to go and stick to the Kentucky and Southern Indiana thing. I can go anywhere. So the first guest I had on the podcast version of the Metal Forge was Chris Black from High Spirits. And from that point on, you know, I was just like, okay, who do I know? Who can I reach out to? And that's pretty much where it went. I started getting people from Fort Wayne, Indiana, like Justin Zitch from Zephaniah and like True Metal Grilling and stuff like that. Deb Levine from Lady Beast, Jason Karuna from Her Worst Nightmare, and just like kept going. And then I sent Cam Mesmer from Spell a message and said, hey, you guys are putting out a new album. It's called Opulent Decay. Look it up. It's great. And I was like, would you all like to do an interview? And Cam immediately said yes. And so we scheduled it. And that was the farthest person that I had spoke to on the show, because he's out of Vancouver, British Columbia, you know. And then I just went on from there, and I was like, well, how do I keep going? And then I started getting bands like, you know, like Under King and Idle Hands, and just constantly getting farther out bands, to where by September of 2020, because of the pandemic, you know, all of these were pretty much done as phone interviews or Zoom interviews or you know, like Facebook Messenger, that I actually got to speak with one of my farthest guests out there, which was Vulture Thrust from the band Overthrust from Gonze, Botswana, Africa. And super awesome, you know, African death metal, like death metal cowboys is what they are. They're fucking awesome. And just, you know, the people that I've got to speak with over the time, like Vulture Thrust and Cam Mesmer and Ryan Waste and Demolition Man Tony Dolan and Lips from Anvil. So many awesome people that have really jumped in and said, hey man, this sounds like a great idea. Yeah, you can count me in for an interview. And it's so awesome because, you know, I appreciate every single person who comes on the show, and it just completely kicks ass. And I love every single person who comes on and that I get to speak with. It just is super fun to me, you know, like getting to talk with Hell Ripper or, you know, Andrew from Metal Assault Records over the last, you know, couple of years of knowing people. It's super fun. I enjoy it. We're at 200 right now. We're gonna keep going. You know, I don't know anything else to do really, because this has just completely kicked ass for me. And I appreciate every single one of you listening, and I appreciate every band that comes on. And let's keep going. Let's keep finding new independent bands, pushing their fan base to higher levels and getting them more people following them. That's what this is all about. It's about the metal culture. It's about tattoos. It's about art. It's about music. It's about metal. It's about punk. It's about hard rock. It's about anything heavy, and it kicks fucking ass. So let's check in here with Jason in the Heavy Metal Wasteland, because I think he's got something special planned for you all.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wasteland, episode number 200. Just want to congratulate Mark on this big accomplishment, and want to point out the discipline and vigorous scheduling that goes into running something this long for 200 episodes. So congratulations to Mark, and just want to say I'm really happy to be part of this. And I have actually gone back in the past episodes from way back before I was a guest, and found some bands that I really like that I probably would have never heard of if it wasn't for this podcast. So thanks, Mark, for introducing me to a lot of really underground stuff that I've never heard of. I've enjoyed, discovering and digging through the archives, so to say. But enough about that. Let's get into the Wasteland number 200 topic. So I have picked the 10 underrated Judas Priest songs in celebration of their Hall of Fame induction. I'm only using songs from the lineups inducted into the Hall of Fame, so there is no Ripper era Priest or Richie Faulkner Priest on here. Not that I don't think any of it deserves to be on here, it's just I'm using the parameters given to me. And one thing before I go on, I really don't care if a band is in the Hall of Fame or wins an award of some kind. That shit is superficial and really doesn't mean anything in the long run. I mean, I guess it's nice, to get that accolade if you're, in the music industry. But as far as like fandom goes, I care less. I don't base anything I do when I listen to a band based on any awards or recognition they've gotten. So, just want to put that out there. And also for you, keeping score out there, if you're worried about like Iron Maiden or like even like Motley Crue or any of those kind of bands that you think should have been inducted a long time ago, just give it time, because this stuff is based on ratings, and they will need bands in the future. So your band is coming up. It just might take a long time, but they'll get in, because God knows it's going to be a while for any bands of today are eligible to be put in. All right, so enough about that. Let's get into the topic at hand here. I'm going to go in chronological order of album release. And also, all these songs are songs I would not consider a hit. So it's all like, deep cuts or just, songs that really don't get the recognition. For every breaking the law, there's a Dissident Aggressor, for instance, off of Sin After Sin from 1977. This is probably the first sound of the Judas Priest of modern day that we all love. Rock-a-Rolla was kind of a blues album, not really heavy, and a lot of this album isn't really heavy either, I would say. Dissident Aggressor has the most Rob Halford vocals that you know and love, and also probably the most aggressive riffing, especially on this album and probably the previous one too. So if you're not familiar with Sin After Sin, this is probably my favorite track on the album also, but this is a good song. You should check it out if you're not familiar with the 70s stuff. So the next one is off the Stained Class album, and I picked Saints in Hell. It's from 1978. Besides the title being really cool, this is a really good song. Again, it's kind of like the modern day Judas Priest prototype song, kind of like Dissident Aggressor. It has a lot of the elements that you love, but it was very raw still. They haven't really found their sound yet. They hadn't made British Steel, so British Steel obviously was the pinnacle of their career in the early day. So both of these were like stuff leading up to the British Steel sound. I think. But I'm gonna skip over British Steel and also Hellbent for Leather. I'm going to go right to Point of Entry from 1981, and I picked Desert Plains off that album. It's very pre-turbo sounding, kind of. It's got a good hook and melody. Kind of a mid-tempo paced song, but very catchy, very cool. I was fortunate enough to see them play this on the leg of the 50 Heavy Metal Years that I saw in Charlotte back in 21. That set list was like a half rarities, half hits set list, so it was really awesome to see them pull this one out. Next one is Defenders of the Faith, and I picked track 2, Jawbreaker. This is from 1984. This is a really cool song. It followed Free Will Burning, which was probably one of the bigger songs of that album. So kind of hid in the shadow of that song, but definitely not a slouch by no means. If you haven't listened to this album, it's not their best album. It has The Sentinel on it, and Heads Are Gonna Roll, and Defenders of the Faith, the song. So those are good ones. There's some okay ones on here, but Jawbreaker is a good one that never really got the recognition that it deserved. So yeah, check that out if you have forgotten about it or not familiar with it. So I picked another one off of the Turbo album, everyone's favorite. I also am not a big fan of this album, but I do like the song Out in the Cold. It has a really cool synth riff to start, and it's probably the best song on the album, I think. Everyone knows Turbo Lover. Played to death, They played it at the show I went to last year. But Out in the Cold's a pretty cool one. I don't know if it's ever been played live or not, but it's definitely worth revisiting on that album. Full of forgetful songs. This one kind of just got lumped in with them, but it's worth checking out. I like it. Okay, so now we're getting into the Painkiller album. I have 2 off that album. So I picked Hell Patrol, which is an amazing song on its own. Could have been the lead-off track if Painkiller wasn't such a monster song. It's short, right to the point, classic Priest. Drumming is amazing. The vocals are awesome. The name obviously is kick-ass. And then I also picked One Shot at Glory, which is toward the bottom of the track list on Painkiller. They actually kicked off the leg of the tour last year with this song, and it was pretty awesome because I did not read the set list ahead of time, so I was really surprised that they picked out this deep cut to start a set with. So One Shot of Glory, again, in the vein of Hell Patrol, it's just really kick-ass with awesome vocal performance by Rob Halford and a catchy melody and all that good stuff. So let's see, I'm going to skip over all the Ripper Owens stuff, and we're going to go to 05. So I have 2 off of the Angel of Retribution album, which I have pretty fond memories of. I bought this day one from a Best Buy here in Asheville on CD after work one day. I think I listened to it for about 4 months straight. No exaggeration. This one is one of my favorite Judas Priest albums. It was hard to pick just 2, but I did. So I am going to recommend Hellrider toward the bottom of the track list. Just classic kick-ass Judas Priest. Never really lets up. Really high vocal range pretty much all the way through. Really evil sounding. So I really like this one a lot. And also, I know a lot of people hate this song, but I picked Loch Ness, the last song on the album, as one of my favorite Judas Priest songs of all time, because it veers off outside the Judas Priest box, so to say, and gets into some doom metal, which is really cool for a band like that. It's also, I think, their longest track, unless there's one on Nostradamus that is longer. I don't think there is. I think this is the longest one. And yeah, man, it's this one is an adventure, man. It goes through a lot of different highs and lows, and yeah, I think it's really, really well done. So the last one, number 10 here, we can't forget Nostradamus. Now, this album is way too long. I think the reason people don't like it is because it's an hour and 43 minutes. It's hard to keep your attention span in music that long. That is a long time. But not to say there isn't anything good on this album. I think this song was forgotten because it's on this album, but the song is Prophecy. It is the most straightforward Judas Priest song on the album. It is the second track, even though it's the first song after an instrumental. And it is everything you love about Judas Priest on an album with everything that you don't love about Judas Priest. Kudos to them attempting to write a concept album, but man, this one's a snoozer. But sometimes bands have to make albums like this to get back on track what makes them great. And the album that followed this obviously was the first one with Richie Faulkner, which was Redeemer of Souls. Obviously, because I used the parameters of the Hall of Fame, nothing on that album is eligible by my standards, but Redeemer of Souls and Firepower were both excellent Judas Priest albums. I know the whole thing with KK and all that came up and blah, 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 but yeah. So, again, this is my opinion of the top of 10 underrated Judas Priest songs. Congratulations to their Hall of Fame induction. If they're listening, again, I don't pick bands based on accolades. I just pick bands based on music. And I think a better accolade anyway is having longevity versus having an award that, just gets stuck on a plaque on the third or fourth floor of the Hall of Fame. It's much cooler to have your stuff in the bottom exhibition areas. I went there a few years ago, and there's some really cool stuff in there. But when it gets up to the upper floors, it gets a little boring and stuffy. So if you ever get to go, I would recommend it just for the museum type stuff alone. They had Rob Halford's jacket in there, his whip, from like the 80s when his dominatrix character, or whatever you want to call it, in there. They had a lot of the Alice in Chains, I Stay Away clay puppets from the video in there. Some Steve Harris, I think Steve Harris bass. They had the Injustice for All stage props in there, just stuff like that. So not everything in the Hall of Fame is lame. It's just like the ceremony is like fluff. So, all right, guys. Well, I will go so we can get into episode 200 with Mr. Lloyd Kaufman. Enjoy these songs if you need to be reminded of them, and enjoy the rest of the episode. See you guys.
Dude, Jason, those are some great picks. And, I do appreciate the fact that you did skip over, like, the couple of albums of theirs that are, like, the most sought-after albums, which is interesting, like Killing Machine / Hellbent for Leather, British Steel, Screaming for Vengeance, and Defenders of the Faith. Absolutely, I totally appreciate that you did skip over those, because those are pretty much the 4 quintessential Judas Priest albums. Yeah, Painkiller is one of those as well, but and Turbo. I actually appreciate Ram It Down a lot. That is a great album as a whole. But honestly, I would have to say that I think Killing Machine itself is a completely underrated song, and I really enjoy that. That's probably my favorite, track of Judas Priest, because it's just got this groove to it, and I love it. So, hell yeah. But, what did I say a minute ago? Holy shit. We have Athena in the Heavy Metal Bunker with a new episode of Metal Mischief. And you might hear a voice in there, because I actually was there recording it with her. Familiar voice, right? Yeah, familiar voice, mine. So let's check in with Athena at Metal Mischief.
Misfits and miscreants, bangers and mashers, deviants and the deviated, the tormented and the fermented, ghouls and goblins, creatures of the night. Jack your headphones, crank the volume to max, spark it up, and just relax. It's time for your deadly dose. Welcome to the next installment of Metal Mischief, and actually the first installment of Video Mischief. It's also very special because it's the 200th episode for Metal Forge. Mark, Mr. Mark Jackson, everybody, from the Metal Forge.
Hello.
If you've never put the face to the name, but you've been following him all these years, then and listening for 199 other episodes, then this is the man right here. This is Mark from Metal Forge Radio, and this is the 200th episode.
Yeah.
And actually, kind of a funny story. I hit my head earlier. And I'm not going to cover the shit I was going to cover originally.
That was pretty rough.
He saw it happen. It totally jumped out in front of me. No, actually what happened is the band that I was interested in, I was having a lot of troubles getting to their information and having enough to give you guys when it comes to wanting to know about these bands. So, instead, Mark and I kind of just went on a whim and found this band that I'm actually quite impressed with. Mm-hmm. They're from France, And here's the other thing, is the other band that I was going to cover called Morgue. Now, here's the thing, there's several Morgues. I mean, there's like over a dozen. When I Googled the Morgue band, this one particularly was from France. So I was Googling the French Morgue. There's like Swedish Morgue and like Finland Morgue and like Italian Morgue. And I mean, there's like, I actually never knew there was...
There's Smorgasmorg.
I think Mark just went like metal dad joke.
Dad joke metal.
Yeah. So yeah, we might have been drinking a little bit tonight because it is the 200th episode, so we are celebrating. So
to the 200th.
To the 200th. So anyway, there's so many morgues and so many ins and outs for this fucking band that even though I really enjoyed the album that was sent to me originally, I really, really enjoyed it. There's not enough for me to talk about. So, anyway, I digress, like I do often. Instead, we ended up finding this band called Depressive Witches. Now, you would think Depressive Witches, and maybe it's like some like doomy metal, right? Because it's Depressive Witches. You just think like really like mopey witches and stuff, but no. If you can hear the music in the background, which, let me actually just turn that up a little bit. If you're paying any attention, it's more like a black and roll, or a little bit, in some points it's like thrash and roll.
Yeah.
But I'm jumping ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
So anyway, we found this band, and they're awesome. Depressive Witches. Ironically enough, stumbling upon them, we realized that they have a new album coming out this Friday. That's right, Black Friday. Just ironic that they picked that day, right, Mark?
I think so. I mean, it doesn't seem like it would be coincidental.
No, I mean, they didn't plan this shit at all.
I mean, Black Metal Friday, maybe?
Maybe?
Sounds like a great idea.
Absolutely. So, this Friday, Black Metal Friday, Depressive Witches' new album comes out. But before we even get to that, because, man, I'm just jumping all over the place. I'm ad-libbing all this, so you guys, you might not know this, but I usually script all my Metal Mischiefs. Tonight...
She's meticulous.
Yeah, it's kind of like annoying how meticulous and the homework I put into it and everything. I just want to know goddamn everything about all these bands. You know. But tonight, we were doing a lot of celebrating and a lot of talking. So anyway, this is what you're getting. So pardon me if I jump around a lot. Here we go. Back to, like, we're just going to rewind a little bit. Welcome to the next installment of Metal Mischief. On today's lineup, Depressive Witches, Bad Blast. Alright, I already liked the title of this album, like, right off the bat. You know, Bad Blast, that's just...
Yeah, I mean...
That's when I sneak into all the shows when they're outrageously priced bourbon, so I, like, bring my own shit.
Right.
No, wait.
You didn't do that, did you?
Do that.
You don't do that.
I don't do that.
You pay those $9 beer prices and $42 bourbon shots.
Yeah, and $12 PBRs? What kind of world are we living in?
A fucked up one.
It's pretty fucked up. So anyway, getting back on track, this is Bad Blast. That's what's playing in the background. And we were both actually really impressed right off the bat when we started listening to them. We thought, okay, these guys kind of have like this Motorhead, like, kind of feel to it, you know? And what grabbed us is like their description. It was like black and roll.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay. And sure enough, it is. It's like black metal mixed with like Motorhead, which is pretty fucking awesome.
I think so.
Right.
Because, you know, everybody who knows me knows I'm a huge Motorhead fan.
Absolutely.
And, yeah. Because who's not?
Right. Who the fuck's not? I don't think you're a real metalhead unless you're like worship Lemmy. You know.
True.
So Anyway, I think Lemmy would actually like this band quite a bit.
Probably so.
Yeah, you know. But anyway, again, I digress. This album in particular is very good. I am excited to hear what their new album sounds like when it comes out on Friday, though. Because we searched all over the place, and they haven't dropped any nuggets for us to actually, like, hear any of the new stuff yet. So I am highly anticipating it and looking forward to it on this Black Friday. But we are going to go back to what we were talking about here. So, there's only 2 guys in this band. Now, one of them, as I normally do, I fuck up names all the time, is Torvus. Torvus.
Right.
Right? Right. Torvus. Am I saying that right? I am.
Torvus.
Torvus. Torvus. Torvus. Guitars and drums. And then there's Sick Bab. Sick Bab. You know,
Sick Bab? I think so.
It's a Sick Bab. Vocals and guitars. So I'm always impressed when you got 1 or 2 dudes that do all the things in the bands. I mean, Mark, Overload, you guys are a 3-piece band.
Right.
So you make it sound so full and so, like, on point. It doesn't sound like there's just 3 guys in your band.
Oh, no. I mean, there's always layering and stuff. But yeah, like, when it's like 2 people that do this, it's crazy. I've always enjoyed stuff like that. I wish I could do stuff like that personally.
Right. It's really impressive. And there's only 2 guys that do this. And so they've only put out 2 albums. And it's just the 2 guys and the 2 albums. But they did put out this single that we found that was quite entertaining, I have to say. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I mean, it filled my heart with, like, black glee. It was so beautiful. It's not necessarily totally black metal. It's more, like, thrash and roll.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so it has, like, these elements, definitely these elements of, like, thrash, which I don't hear on this album.
Right.
Which I'm interested on the album that drops on Friday, if it's going to be more thrashy or more black metal or more rock and roll.
Right.
That's what we get to look forward to, though. But the single, let me see here, where's my notes? It's called Medieval Strip Club. I mean, it really doesn't get much more fun than that to begin with, right? Because your brain automatically goes, okay, what does that look like?
Yeah, it's like it's like the mental image it conjures.
Right?
It's like great.
Yeah, but how big is that bush and how dirty is that snatch? Because it's medieval times.
You went there.
Man, of course I did. It's medieval times. Like, ooh, nobody was clean. Like, that's like gnarly shit. So medieval strip club. Can you just imagine taking the thong off on the bush that's just like, you know, like total like Beavis moment right there. Like
have hair like Carrot Top.
Right? Stuffed in a thong. Okay, anyway.
A goat skin thong.
A goat skin thong. Like, I don't know why, but it's chafing my butt cheeks. Anyway, Medieval Strip Club. The song is actually really awesome. So, I'm really hoping the new album's like a mixture of everything that we've listened to thus far. You know? So I've got to say, that was definitely like a high point for me. Oh, wait. Oh, I thought you were going to cheers me.
Oh, no, we can cheers again.
Let's do that. Tonight it's Four Roses. Yellow label, which is one of my favorites. So good. So good.
The sweet Four Roses.
I'm going to be scraping him off the floor later. Alright, so this album that we're listening to, Bad Flask, it's they actually put this album out independently. Now, their new album is actually not put out independently. That one is put out by a label called Warm Whole Death. And that's all one word.
Right.
Like, I had to look at that a couple of times. I was like, is that just a typo? But no, it's one whole word. Warm Whole Death. That's the new label. But this album that we're listening to is independent, and it was actually limited to only 300 copies. So either you jump on it and you get it, or you fucking miss the fuck out. Speaking of that, I always like to say, when we talk about these bands and all the awesome shit they do, Bandcamp, I mean, YouTube, anywhere that bands are going to be posting their shit. Mark, I mean, you're in a band. Please tell us, what are the platforms people need to be following so that they can find all the band shit that they want?
Definitely. And, you know, it's everything like you just said. It's Spotify, iTunes, Bandcamp, you know, YouTube, all of that stuff. Facecrack, Instagrams, all of that stuff. Everybody needs to have something like that. Make your product as accessible as you can, because ultimately, you know, you're not going to have followers, or you're going to stay completely underground if you don't have some of this stuff to fall on. Because you'd be surprised on how many people like me, and like when I do research for the Metal Forge to seek out bands to interview, a lot of times it's based on Instagram profiles or people that have recommended it, saying, hey, check these dudes out.
Right, and that's actually how I find a lot of the bands that I listen to as well.
Right.
Besides, like, the Metal Encyclopedia.
Yeah, the Metal Archives.
And the Metal Archives, which we worship, because, oh my god, they literally have everything you want on there.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never been there and you're a metalhead, check it out, for sure.
Right.
I mean, it literally has everything you need to know about every fucking metal band on the planet. Literally, on a fucking planet. This is how I keep finding all this crazy shit, man. I mean, it's amazing that the music's out, that what's out there that you don't realize, because we are kind of like in our own little hole. You know what I mean? Like we know what's around here, what tours and what comes our way and stuff, and what our friends pass down to us and shit. But what we're not realizing, and no, not that we're not even realizing it, what we're not taking into consideration sometimes is like these bands like across the pond, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You know, and they might not have the power or the labels to get their names like over here for us. So like these websites like the Metal Archives is like such a great place to go and find all these new bands, and like find bands that you would have never known existed. Like fucking, oh my god, like this shit, you know, it's so good.
Right.
We literally just stumbled upon it because we were like Googling shit.
Right, and they had a listing of like black metal, black and roll, and it was like, whoa, what's black and roll? Let's check this out.
Yeah.
It's like I've never heard that expression or that genre-specific thing, air quotes.
Yeah, air quotey thingies.
Air quotey thingies. And I'm impressed. I'm like, wow, this is pretty fucking cool.
Yep. And to top it off, they surprised me because I thought they were going to be kind of like this. I said to Mark before we started like doing all this, I was like, I don't want to go for like the typical, oh, it's cold, it's winter, let's do black metal, or doom or anything like, you know, because fuck that. Let's do something like to pick you up instead of kind of bring you down. It's already bringing us down because it's getting cold and miserable. So, you know, so I was very, very pleasantly surprised that this wasn't a doom, or I mean, I'm sorry, not a doom metal, but this wasn't like a black metal band that was like bring me like down here where I'm like, all right, somebody please like
right,
come and like scrape me off the floor. Yeah. So no, they're fun. They're actually like, you know, here's the thing. There's like all these different death metal, black metal, whatever. Black metal can be fun. It doesn't have to be like this. Right. It
doesn't have to be depressive.
Like, right,
you know.
doomy, like sad and gloomy shit.
Mm-hmm.
It can still be black as fuck. And Depressive Witches they're black as fuck, but at the same time, like, they're super up here. I'm feeling, they actually make me feel more like I wanna, you know, bounce around my room and shit.
Yeah, you
want to
headbang and actually, instead of just shoegaze.
Yeah, right. I'm not sitting in the dark corner like pondering all my fucking bad moves in life.
Right.
Oh my god, we've done enough of that. Anyway, my point being, I'm very pleasantly surprised, and Mark, I think you're saying the same thing.
Oh yeah, I'm
very
definitely gonna reach
surprised. And yeah, maybe we can get them on the show one day, and like talk to these two guys and get to know a little bit more about them, because we're both pretty impressed with what they're doing. So,
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I do want to talk about their new album just a little bit, though, because I know I'm kind of going on here. Distant Kingdom. Distant Kingdom. That's their new album.
Distant.
And, yes. Sorry, sometimes my accent gets in the way.
Distant.
Distant. What is that over there? Is that a speck? Is that a fleck? It is a distant.
Looks like a castle.
Is a kingdom? Is a distant kingdom. New album. This Friday. Black Friday.
Black
Labeled
Metal Friday.
Wormhole Death. Oh. Recorded, mixed, and mastered at... What did I do with mine?
Did it say, actually?
No, I did it?
I don't think it said.
Hold on, because let me...
She's consulting the notes.
I am. Oh, it did. No. It so did. Okay.
Compulsive note taker.
I am. I'm one of those. Recorded, mixed, and mastered at Blackout Studio in Brussels. And here's the thing, is that they recorded this in June of 2021. And then they started recording, don't show them my notes. And then they started and then they started recording Distant Kingdom like literally not even 5 months later.
Right.
So, but it took a whole year for it to come to fruition.
Right,
so
to actually come out on Black Friday, because it was November of 21 when they started recording and everything for Distant Kingdom.
Yeah. And so here we are. It's literally come full circle, and we didn't even mean for it to. It just kind of happened.
That's cool, though.
But it is very cool, and I really am looking forward to it. So, now we normally do, like, this thing where we do a 5-shot review, right?
Ooh.
So, I gotta say, if you haven't been paying attention in class, we're gonna have to go over the rules a little bit. Mark, have you been paying attention?
Huh?
Have you been sleeping through class?
I am kind of guilty of that sometimes.
So we have come to the end, dear Metal Misfits. It is now time for Athena's 5-shot review. Here are the rules. 5 shots. I needed 5 shots to get through the motherfucker. 4 shots. Meh. Could have had some could have used some 3 shots though. Good. Made me air drum and bang my head. 2 shots. 2 shots. Really good. Put that shit in the glove box for traveling. And 1 shot. Really good. Excellent. Motherfuck. Holy shit. Blows my brains out. I'll probably have a bangover in the morning. So, Mark, we're both going to give our own here since this is the 200th episode.
The 200th.
So, we're both going to give reviews. And this is special. This has never happened in Metal Mischief before.
No, it never has. I'm kind of excited. You put me on the spot here.
I know. That's why I didn't tell you about it earlier. I'm going to let Mark give his review first, actually.
Oh, wow.
Mark, from Athena's 5-shot reviews, what do you want to tell everybody?
You know, actually, I'm gonna have to go with 2 shots. Really good. Put that shit in the glove box for traveling. That's gonna be my thing.
That's gonna be your thing. And you know what? Honestly, I'm there with you, Mark.
Yeah.
I'm also gonna give 2 shots. Put that shit in the glove box for traveling. So, until we meet again, have a most excellent time. And don't forget, keep it heavy. Cut! That's a wrap!
So yeah, 2 shots. You know, that was an interesting deal because we were setting up, we had this idea, and you know, she was setting up some cameras because she's starting to record Metal Mischief to use on her YouTube channel. I will list links for that when it is available below, and it's Video Mischief. Yeah, I'm proud to have come up with that because it's Metal Mischief and then Video Mischief, which is awesome. And she was sitting there and the door just kind of had moved, and she went to stand up and hit her head, and it's like, holy shit, are you all right? It was crazy because it was just like this. I'm like, fuck, what the fuck happened? And she's like, you saw the door, it jumped out at me. I'm like, I did. It totally did. It was the weirdest shit in the world. And, you know, so we took a minute, and then all of a sudden she was like, you know, the morgue thing, the Bandcamp page for some reason stopped loading after that she was doing her research with. And so we went on to the upcoming releases for the Metal Archives, you know, the Encyclopedia Metallum, and you know I cite them a lot. And it was just, what the fuck is that? What is black and roll? And we checked them out. Depressive Witches, holy shit, blew me the fuck away. Love them, and I'm gonna try and reach out and see if we can get them here on the Metal Forge in the coming months. And yeah, I was just totally bewildered by, like, holy fuck, these dudes, for 2 guys, this is fucking awesome sounding. Completely blew me away. But I digress, as Athena would say. Seriously, Jason, Athena, thank you all so much this year for doing everything that you have done with the Metal Forge. I completely appreciate you guys and having your all's backs and y'all having mine, and continuously putting out awesome content for the Metal Forge, whether it be album reviews, whether it be, you know, kind of like complaints and grievances sometimes, like or band retrospectives, from like the Sword deal with Jason here a couple weeks back when the Sword announced they were done. Completely rad times. I appreciate the fuck out of you both. Thank you so much for, you know, taking this metal journey with me and being friends, and it's so fucking awesome. I appreciate you. So, before we get into Lloyd, we're not gonna play a song today, but we're gonna check in with some friends from the Metal Forge here. Who do we got? Sound off!
Hey, Maniacs. This is Amy Lee Carlson from Solicitor. You are listening to the 200th episode of Metal Forge Radio with Mark Jackson. Keep it fast, keep it nasty, keep it mean. Yeah!
This is Soul Grinder Scenes. Congratulations to Metal Forge for the 200 episodes. Cheers.
Hi everyone, this is Graham from Seven Sisters, just dropping in to congratulate Buddy Mark and the Metal Forge on their 200th episode. Great achievement, and here's to 200 more. Hope everybody keeps tuning in and enjoying the show. Cheers.
Alright, Metalheads, this is the special 200th episode. I have Athena from Metal Mischief sitting here.
Ow.
And I have Jason Gardner from the Heavy Metal Wasteland here.
What's up, everybody?
And our special 200th guest is here with us today, Mr. Lloyd Kaufman from TROMA Pictures. Lloyd, how the fuck are you?
Yes, this land is all of our lands. Nobody has the right to this land. It's
except you and me and everybody else, not these fuckers who just got elected. 92-year-old senator and a woman who's 82 years old who's one breath from the presidency, and a president of over 80. Christ, and you're talking to a 77-year-old person. And so I know that these people, I know that their brains are fucked up. You can't, once you pass 65, the brain, these corporations that make all that money, they don't keep people on who are 82 years old from not from Idaho or Iowa, wherever that fucker's from. Right? They don't have CEOs who are 82 years old in the running the company.
Right.
No, Speaker of the House, that woman will be in there forever. No wonder the country's falling to shit.
Well, maybe not forever. Maybe not forever. She's old as dirt. She might just keel over like in a week, you know.
Well, the point is, you young people are being smothered by the old people, and the country's going to shit, right? The only people that have any real rights, the only people who have real rights are the upper class bourgeois. I don't mean upper class. I mean the richer bourgeois and the small and all those small millionaires. You know, small number of millionaires. It's a disgusting. But at any rate, the metal people ought to. I play the clarinet a little bit, but we ought to really do something. It gets worse and worse. People, studios in Atlanta, right? You want to make a movie in Atlanta? They give you 30% of your budget back, maybe more. But they're destroying the forest there outside Atlanta, thousands of acres. They've already destroyed a lot of it, and the wetlands. And Georgia's a place where apparently Will Smith doesn't mind making movies. They don't have voting rights, and it's basically black people there live in a colony. But other than that, no problem. Let's go there and make movies. Let's make crap like... hey, I got a great idea. How about Man of Steel? Well, let's do that again. I mean, this place is fucked. And all these people in the mainstream of our so-called arts, they seem to be overjoyed at this great studio in Atlanta, which is, by the way, owned and run by right-wing, religious, anti-Semitic, racist, sexist, fascist who owns Chick-fil-A. It's all backed by fascist, right-wing, sexist, and nobody knows it, except for me, apparently, because the Chick-fil-A's have just moved into New York. And every time I go to one, it's full of black people having the best time. They should boycott it. You shouldn't go near that place.
Oh, I don't take any
I boycott it.
Yeah, I will never go to the Lord's Chicken. No.
I never eat there. No.
Fuck that place.
Well, people don't know it. They're also delighted with, with the woke crowd, the Me Too crowd, and yet our lands are being destroyed. The Indians are being fucked even more than they have. There's even more fucking of the Indians. I mean, really, it just never ends. So
you're right. It never ends.
It never does. Which is all crazy shit that's going on. And you're absolutely right. I was watching a video here just about an hour or so ago, and it was a guy from Canada saying something similar about how they were just you will never have the life your parents had, and that all of what you just said pretty much fucking proves that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Your generation, I don't know what generation you're in, but for the first time, the generation after moi is living fewer years than my generation. It's the first time in history that's happened, where not living as long as your parents.
Wow.
That's because 40% of our nation is obese. I assume that's true for part of Canada too. 40% of U.S. is obese, morbidly obese, right? Thanks to junk food that was stuffed down our gullets.
Yeah, and the opportunity on every corner. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and it is. It's everywhere.
And people can't. If you're making $15 an hour, which is not even the American minimum wage, how do you have to eat at this shit food? You have to go to Dollar General. You can't eat decent food because there's no place to get it.
Right.
Right.
And that's the whole
Unless
thing.
you want to pay up for it, $10 for a piece of cheese, or eggs are like 20% more than they were last year. It's fresh fruits out of the question for poor people. I mean, and poor people. I'm talking about 80% of the citizens. Student debt. I mean, what a mess! Imagine if you're a single woman with a kid or two, and what do? You get no baby care. You get no decent education. You got no income. You have to wait tables, and you should be curing cancer. It's ridiculous. Your whole generation's being pissed away, right?
Yeah,
I agree.
People,
absolutely.
Right?
I agree with you too, Lloyd, for sure.
The guy who says you want fries, with that he could be curing cancer. He shouldn't be working for $10 an hour.
Agreed.
The United States, the minimum wage isn't even $15 an hour. Missouri's questions that they should have a minimum wage. I think they just passed $12 an hour. These fucking New York bullshit lawyers get $1,000 an hour for putting out, printing, boilerplate contracts.
Yeah.
Right? $1,000 an hour.
Yep, and people will pay it so that they can always be on top of everything else, on top of each other.
Right.
And
exactly. Yeah. Believe me, Nancy Pelosi's husband is doing. I know he got hit in the head, and I'm very sorry. But he's been trading on the inside because he has his wife who's working on it. It's absurd. The Congress people are allowed to trade on inside information. They're allowed to trade, even though it looks bad. It doesn't matter. It's not against the law. They can, they can buy these chip companies based on knowing that the Congress is going to pass billions of dollars to go to the chip industry. I mean, what can you do? Luckily, you guys are here, and hopefully your audience will, try to throw out some of these old people.
I hope so, because, I mean, shit. But, I mean, we've got a bunch of other crackpot younger people like Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene that are fucking running and shit, too.
Well, that's a matter of democracy. They got voted in. You got to get rid of them. Vote them out.
Right. And you mentioned something about, about 80-year-old president and the 82 and 92 year-old members of Congress and shit. But see, they make so much money. It's just like the food thing. They can afford to eat really good food and shit like that, where all the poor people are suffering.
Sure. Not only that, the government's paying for it.
Yeah,
the taxpayers are paying for it.
Yes, that's right. We are paying for it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they get the best health care too. So
they get special. No, they get a special health care, better than Medicare or any of that stuff. Not to mention the pension. If you're in for 2 years, you get full pension forever.
That's ridiculous.
Although most of them, once they get in, they never leave. It's like the Roach Motel.
That's a great name for it,
Anyway, I'm sorry. Yes,
our government, the Roach Motel.
Yeah, you're right. Except the roaches they do well in the Roach Motel. The roaches.
Well, yeah, they're hard to fucking kill, Lloyd.
Yeah.
Well, at any rate, how is Athena? How are you, Athena?
I'm doing great, man. I haven't seen you for a couple of weeks, and I have like Lloyd withdrawals every time I don't see you. But I am excited because I've been talking with you and Garrett about coming up to New York and filming with you for the new movie with Pitfire Films. So, and you're going to play my very young uncle.
Yeah, change the part.
Yes, we're going to change it up just for you, hon.
No, don't worry. I got
So is he going to be Uncle Lloyd?
Well, no, he's actually my grandpa in the movie, but he's Uncle Lloyd, so he's my and I'm winking. You can't see me doing the winky thing, Lloyd, but I'm winking, and I'm like my very young Uncle Lloyd.
Ah.
Yes. Yeah.
The script is good. The script is very good, and it sort of ties into the fact that I didn't take my meds today, so I'm a little bit ranting about old people. It's all about knocking off unpleasant old people.
Well, I have to say, and I don't want to dive too much into it, but the day I had today actually revolved kind of around me getting older, Lloyd. So it's really kind of poignant that you brought this up. Actually, like it kind of came full circle for me personally.
Yeah, just now.
So yeah, just now. So I guess thank you for that. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's great to hear your voice again. And, you know, I would really like to talk about the new TROMA Now streaming that's going on, and talk about hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm, because this shit is fucking hilarious. Can we talk about that, Lloyd? Is that cool?
Whatever you all want to talk about, sure.
So
hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm has never... I don't believe it's... Oh, it did play I think it did play in Louisville, but only in
Lexington.
one show.
That was when we were in Lexington at Scarefest, and we premiered
Yes, Lexington. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Lexington.
Yeah.
At that beautiful entertainment complex. But it was, it was like nobody showed up. So maybe you can find another venue, and I'll come back.
Hey, we had about 20 people in the crowd. That's good. I mean, for 12 o'clock at night, they did premiere it at like fucking 12 o'clock at night, by the way. So
yes, no, it's tough when you, because the convention has so many other things going on. It's not really about movies. It's more about pop culture and comics and drawing and painting, and it's not really about TROMA movies.
Well,
so
actually,
maybe you'll find some other way to play it. I can send you, if you send me a email, I can send you the link.
Of course, yeah. Absolutely. And you were saying how much it's all about everything, the culture, just like the Metal Forge is here. But most of the con thing, I think, is centered around the real, as George Carlin would say, the real American pastime, consumerism.
Well, I differ a little bit because... I mean, I think that people there are pretty serious pop culture fans, or more than fans. I mean, they drill deep.
They do.
You should have seen some of the stuff that they bring Lloyd to sign.
Oh, I'm sure.
They literally bring shit out that's like from like the 80s and stuff that you've never seen. It's pretty incredible. I mean, Lloyd, right? I mean, the fans bring you some really cool shit all the time.
Stuff that they make.
Yeah, and stuff they make, yeah.
Yeah. See, that's always really cool to me when people, they don't... Yeah, you might see the VHS tapes and stuff like that, but when they have, like, movie posters from, like when like Toxie 1 originally came out, and it's like, or if it was featured in like their like a newspaper or something, their local paper or something like that, and they bring that stuff. That's cool. That's cool shit.
Yeah, very cool. No question about it. And actually, after Lexington, I don't know, Athena, if you remember, but a guy came in with a very nicely homemade Toxie. And he sent one to us, and it looked like he apparently makes it on 3D. They were beautiful.
Yeah.
They were. Did you see that one that came in?
Yeah, I remember that, man.
Wow.
And that was really cool.
Really great.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And by the way, the people next door to, or not next door, but a few, not too far from us at the Scarefest, the lady whose name I can't remember, Carla maybe, she's made a baby Toxie. And it's I put it on my Instagram. It's disturbing as
I
very
saw
disturbing.
that the other day. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, just like the stuff I saw people bringing in for you, it was just like it was just really cool, So I imagine over the many years that you have been doing this, that I know I was joking with you that weekend about having like a museum hall in your house where it's just all the things that fans have like given to you over the years, like it's got to be incredible.
Well, indeed, we've gotten our fans are the best. That's the only reason we're still here. Again, thank you, Forge Metal Flock or whatever it is, for TROMA love. No, seriously, sincerely, thank you. We're only here because our fans support us. The minute that stops, we're done. We have no other. We're totally on our own. So it's all fan fueled. That's the secret sauce.
It is. It very much is. So, speaking of hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm, it came out earlier. It actually says it was released on the 20th of August, is what Wikipedia says, and that's kind of a weird thing because they get a lot of shit wrong.
They do, but I think they're kind of right. Fangoria.
Fangoria?
No, that's a Starfuckers. It's a very good festival in Fantasia. Fantasia in Montreal had the world premiere, but it was during COVID, so it was virtual.
Okay. So now as we're...
I think you got the date. You probably got the date about right, or maybe it was a little bit later. I can't remember, but thanks for mentioning it.
Definitely. So now that we're, COVID's still there, but a lot of people we're doing a lot more things now. So you got to premiere this in Lexington at Scarefest back in the middle of October. So how is everything with it? I mean, is it making its rounds? Is it doing well?
Yeah, when do we expect it to see it on DVD?
No, it's a total flop. Are you kidding? It's a total bomb. Even shitty festivals. Only the smart people get it. The
movie's fucking hilarious. It's so good.
Well, the Fantasia is a great festival, but apparently the title and the substance, the media didn't want to cover it. So I think the other festivals said, hell with this. Or the movie stinks, one or the other. But to me, it's our best movie, and the TROMA team feels it's the best thing I've done, and most likely my last directorial effort. Unless I live.
Oh,
what?
I'm working on stuff, but who knows if I'll get it done on time. The clock is ticking. But I'm producing a number of films by very talented new young directors. And I do know that every time we have a theater, other than Lexington, it's usually full. And we did a tour in Texas for about 6 or 8. They were like one-night stands, but every theater was full. And then we did L.A. ran 2 weeks, New York ran 2 weeks with no advertising, and there have been a few, maybe 50 theaters, kind of one-night stands. So the audiences like it who show up, but I think the gatekeepers, it's a little too much for them. In about 30, the Toxic Avenger is being remade. It only took the mainstream 35 years. My guess is hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm might get some attention in about 30, 35 years, but not now.
Well, I think that's a total shame because I saw it and it was amazing and I laughed my ass off. My face hurt at the end of the movie. I laughed so hard through the whole thing. There's so many good little one-offs and things and so many throwbacks to other movies and little Easter eggs and things like that. It's absolutely wonderful, and I loved how you mixed the whole Shakespearean experience with a new age kind of thing, and you expanded on it politically and religiously and just across the board. I mean, it hit every note. It hits every note, so I think it's amazing.
You are among the small. You're among the, and thank you, God bless you. You're among the small number of people who get it. Most of these gatekeepers, they have no knowledge of cinema. They don't get the references. They probably have never read The Tempest by William Shakespeare. It's really amazing. These mainstream gatekeepers, they set themselves up as their shit don't smell. But when you talk to them, they know nothing. They know that Taylor Swift exists. They know that Superman exists. They know that Batman, they know that they want to walk the red carpet and go to big parties at Cannes. That's all they know. They don't know who John Ford is. They don't know who Charlie Chaplin. They don't know who Buster Keaton. They know nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Right. Yeah.
They know Taylor Swift. And maybe they know Ye now that he's come out as a DEF CON against the Jews guy. But I mean, basically, they're stupid. You guys, the TROMA fans, are much smarter. They get it in the same way that Cole Porter and Noel Coward were a little bit erudite, and a lot of people didn't get it.
Right.
They
absolutely.
And
Jesus
I think
Christ.
that's a big. Go ahead.
Jesus had problems, right? Jesus, they didn't get Jesus, right? Took 2,000 years to really get him.
Right. And, and I think that's a big, Star Wars, for the Star Wars fans out there is a ton of, like, gatekeepers in that, and just in any culture, there's so many gatekeepers, and it's such a terrible concept because it's like, people are allowed to like what they like, and, that's one of those things that really gets me with the whole gatekeeper kind of deal. I can't stand
That's
them.
what they want to be. They want to be, the critics for the New York Times want to go to the Cannes Film Festival. They have no interest in finding new young directors. They're interested in, being at the red carpet and, Robert De Niro's got a new, let's pay a lot of attention to De Niro. Nobody knows that De Niro has a new movie, so let's focus the New York Times on Robert De Niro, or who else can we focus on? There's no interest in anything that's slightly visionary.
Right.
Hey.
That I can see. And they're ignorant. They don't know. They do believe, I think, that movies started with Star Wars. I think you're right. I think the critical, the intellectual, the people who are writing critical reviews on music and film, I think they believe that it started with Star Wars.
Well, it's either that or they don't believe that anything existed before they did.
Yeah, that's a good
yes,
point. Yeah, that's
right.
a good point. Yeah,
and that's a big. I think that's a big part of it. It's like I know so many young people, and I say young people like my age and younger, and I'm almost 40, and they've never seen things like The Godfather or The Ten Commandments or The Maltese Falcon or any of that stuff. And it's a shame, really, because these are amazing films, and they just discredit all kinds of shit.
Well, it's ignorance. That's the problem. It's ignorance, and unless you're rich in this country, you can't get a decent education. You got to be rich, I think. Public schools suck. The teachers are way underpaid. And by the way, the nurses are way underpaid. It's
much.
Awful.
most people are way underpaid, Lloyd.
You all have to get those picket signs, and every time a president appears somewhere, rub it in, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you all
forgive student loans, $50 an hour minimum wage. We must have abortions for everybody, no matter what. Whatever, and unfortunately, a small minority of rich people are running the show.
Right.
And you look at television, I'm talking about regular TV, these shows in the morning, because my wife watches them, the chat shows. I mean, they're just totally playing into the ignorant public and sucking, basically they're 3 hours, ABC, NBC, and CBS, 3 hours of commercials for the mainstream, every unpaid commercials every morning, right? Right. They just had on. They just had. Who did they have on? They had Ryan Reynolds and somebody else, an older person, about A Christmas Carol, the movie. But this is going to be from the ghost point of view. Oh wow!
What?
Meanwhile,
Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell. Meanwhile, it opened right in the toilet. And every critic said it. Even the New York Nazi Times said it stunk. And meanwhile, every chat show, there's Will Ferrell, there's Ryan Reynolds, and some fat woman who they don't pay. They didn't let her talk much, and they're just yapping about this musical. And I heard, I listened to a song or two. They stink. The songs in Shakespeare's Shitstorm are much better. The lyrics in Shakespeare's Shitstorm are funnier, and the music in Shakespeare's Shitstorm is based on serious music, and anybody with a plane would know that. So, meanwhile, it's ABC, NBC, CBS for 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's all they do is advertise mainstream crap.
Yeah.
Right.
They're programming us. That's what they're doing. They're trying to program us.
It's distract us.
Distract us, program.
Yeah.
Well, distraction and programming at the same time.
Kind of go hand in hand, yeah. So you all at TROMA just started a streaming service, correct?
Well, not just started.
No,
It's been going.
It's been going?
But, Lloyd, I'll let you take over. I'm sorry.
No, actually, again, one of the secrets to TROMA's long-running history is we have young people. And one of those young people was my daughter, Lizbeth, who was working for a startup called VHX. She was a unpaid intern. And she said, hey, this looks pretty good. People are putting their music, their movies and stuff up on these streaming things. Why don't you check it out? So we did. This is like 15 years ago. And we set up TROMA Now. And it was very small. And we didn't have a lot there because we had most of our stuff on the TROMA channel on YouTube. But then one day YouTube decided, after our channel had been up for about 10 years, and nobody complained that I know of, they closed the channel. One day we woke up and there was no TROMA channel on YouTube.
Well,
so the fans got very upset, and then 48 hours later, YouTube winked and they put the channel back up. But Michael Hers, my partner, said, that's it, we're going to put everything on TROMA Now. And a good thing we did, because TROMA Now is growing and doing nicely, and thanks to you all, and our subscribers love it. And it's small, but it's growing, and people love it. And a lot of our movies that are on TROMA Now come from fans. We have a series called Ratso. It's very funny. It's like the stuff that Sesame Street couldn't say. You know, they're puppets. But
they wanted to.
It's
but
very, very.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. There's all sorts of treasures on TROMA Now, just because the mainstream is too stupid to get it. You know.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it's free for the first month, and then it's $4.99 a month after that, correct?
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Hey, by the way, if you can't pay first of all, if you want TROMA to continue, try to pay the $4.99 a month, and you can skip a Prime or one of these other things. But if you can't pay the $4.99 a month, what you do is, after your free month, you create a new email, and then you join, and you get another free month. So I'm okay with that too, if you can't afford it. You know, if you're a millionaire and you do that, I think that's a little much. But if you know, we have, most of our fans are not rich, so I don't mind if they have to do that. And we want them to see the movies, and eventually they grow up and they become James Gunn and they run Warner Brothers.
Right.
You know,
so it's a good investment.
That's one
it's a
thing
good
I
investment.
love about you, Lloyd, is that you're always there for the fans. You're always there for the people and the viewers and the up-and-coming filmmakers, the independent filmmakers, because TROMA Now is not just TROMA films. It's actually independent films from other filmmakers as well. So
yes,
you're also helping like grow that independent film community, which is such an amazing thing when there's so many people who want to make films but can't do it Hollywood style and don't want to do it Hollywood style. You know,
right.
So I commend you tremendously for the efforts and things that you have done towards that, man, for sure.
Well, it's a lot of fun too. You know, it's exciting to see stuff that's great talent and that's that nobody sees, and at least we offer an opportunity for more eyeballs. And you can make a little money on TROMA Now, but as TROMA Now grows, the filmmakers do better and better, assuming people look at their work. You know, that's the other problem. They gotta, people have to check out. We got 50 years of TROMA movies, and then a few hundred independent films that we had nothing to do with. So it's a very interesting platform. I really believe in it, and it's fans are it's growing. It's not growing fast, but it is indeed growing, and nobody leaves. So great fans, and thank you, fans.
And thank you, Lloyd. I do have another question for you. Is you mentioned this a minute ago in saying how the Toxic Avenger is getting a remake?
Yes.
With Hollywood's been remaking films since film existed, so it's not a new concept.
No.
So how how do you feel about your film being remade?
Well, your point is well taken. Macon Blair, the young director who's, I think, had total freedom on The Toxic Avenger, it's a reimagining. It's Lloyd Kaufman's Toxic Avenger, but now it's Macon Blair's Toxic Avenger. I can't talk about it because I had to sign this fucking NDA. But it's definite. That's a whole new thing, too. Where did that come from? I worked on Rocky. I didn't sign an NDA. Saturday Night Fever, I didn't sign an NDA. We helped produce. I was an associate producer on a movie with Kirk Douglas, Martin Sheen, and a bunch of stars, The Final Countdown. No NDA, but now suddenly the business is so disgusting that nobody can trust each other, even the people whose movie they're remaking. And these are the best people. These are lovely. Macon Blair it's not his thing. He's the director, and he's very young, but it's legendary. They've apparently been so fucked by people that they had to have all of us sign NDAs. So, but I can tell you that Macon has done it's totally, you won't believe it when you see it. Let's put it that way. It's totally different from anything that would come out of Lloyd Kaufman's head. But it does have one foot in Tromaville and the subversive part. I mean, I believe that the smart people and the people in the mainstream who might want to have an adventure, I think they're going to love it. But I can't really describe it very much.
Understandable.
Well, that's pretty exciting, though. Right.
Oh my God! Yeah. Sure. I hope I live. I hope I make it long enough. So
I'll be sitting next to you at the premiere, Lloyd.
Yeah. and believe me, she's a date you want to take to the premiere.
Well, I think it's going to be. I think that the strategy is Warner's and Legendary put it in festivals. And I believe they're going to, again, it's just only what little we know, they're going to put it out toward the end of the fall of 23.
Okay.
And hopefully by then people come back to movie theaters.
Right.
Yeah.
Jason, you've been kind of quiet over there. Are you okay?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Jason, I'm sorry.
No, I just didn't want to break up the flow by trying to get a word in because it was going so well. So I've just been listening. But, hey, isn't that Toxic Avenger remake or reboot, whatever you want to call it, isn't Peter Dinklage Toxie in that?
Yes. Yes, he is.
That's
I think he'll be pretty good. I think he'll be pretty good in makeup for the part because also, obviously he's got the shortness thing going on. So I think they can throw a whole nother dynamic on instead of the Toxic Avenger being this huge monster, just this little short guy. I think it could be pretty cool. Yeah.
I think Jason, I think you hit it on the button. It shows the courage of Macon Blair and Legendary. I never would have thought of that. I thought of, that Toxie becomes trans somehow, or a fat Toxie, or but Peter Dinklage, he's such a wonderful actor. That's great. The fact that they had the courage to that's why I say it's really Macon's movie and Legendary's Toxie. It's a new Toxie.
Well, if they're going to do a fat Toxie, put me in for the role.
That's okay.
I've seen him with a mop. He's pretty good.
Yes.
Here's
I do have another movie pitch for another trauma movie based on something you said earlier. What would you think about a movie where Paul Pelosi is hammered in the head and he gets amnesia, and then he goes to Capitol Hill and starts murdering like all the shitty senators and Congress people? And I want to nominate our ex-Congressman Madison Cawthorn as the first and most brutally killed victim in the movie.
First head crushing.
Yeah, and you can have that for free. I don't need a credit or anything, but I think that's a really good idea.
How would you dispose of this guy who I've never heard of?
Well, he's in a wheelchair, but he's a real piece of shit. So I would say probably take the wheelchair spokes out and just jab him through his eyes and orifices and then roll him down the steps of the Lincoln Memorial.
What's his name again?
Madison Cawthorn.
And what state? Sorry.
North Carolina.
Oh, my wife's state.
Look him up. He's a shithead, man. He's a parrot who just repeats shit that he doesn't know nothing about, the whole MAGA thing and everything. But yeah, he's a piece of garbage, man. He got beat pretty handily on the primary, so he's not running again this year, or didn't run again this year. But yeah, he'd be a good candidate to die gruesomely.
You could have a lot of fun by intercut Eisenstein's iconic film Battleship Potemkin. It's a film student. When you go to film school, they show a little of it. It was a seminal movie in the silent days, but there's a very famous sequence. Very famous sequence where Eisenstein blows his nose. Where Eisenstein sneezes. Where Eisenstein had a baby carriage going down the Odessa steps during the Russian Revolution, and you could intercut that with this guy's wheelchair going down the same steps and.
Yes.
That kind of sounds similar to the Untouchables when the baby carriage is going down the steps in the train station.
Yeah, see.
Well, that's clearly that's a fromage to Eisenstein. And my brother's movie, When Nature Calls, which if you haven't seen it, I think it's on TROMA now. It's hilarious. My brother made Mother's Day, which is a masterpiece.
So fucking good.
Wow.
Yes.
But When Nature Calls is very, very funny. It's it's what Grindhouse by Rodriguez and Quentin were trying to do for $60 million, but my brother did it for about $400,000. He made a $60,000 movie. You know, Grindhouse movies were not $60 million like Quentin and the other guy.
Right.
But my brother did When Nature Calls, which was what they were trying to do. But when you're spending $60 million, you're dressing up for Halloween. And both of those guys are big influences on my work, but that particular thing I don't think worked. But if you could see when Nature Calls, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's wonderful. It's great.
Definitely.
And it's just what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you've made movies for 50 years now, and did you say at least?
Please, more. The TROMA's moving into 50.
Yes, TROMA's moving into 50 years. So
been around longer.
You've been, had, a multitude of different budgets on films. So how do you maintain, keeping your art going?
Well, there are two areas. One, hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. In 2000, we shot it. I think we finished in 2020, and we made the movie for about $450,000, which was the exact budget for which we made Toxic Avenger in 1983. So if you take inflation from 83, 93, 103, 113, I mean, my God, 50 years, almost 40 years later. It's like we made hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm for 20% of Toxic Avenger.
Right.
And the reason for that is the fans, because many of our fans have now become very talented directors of photography and actors and production managers and all that kind of stuff. And they want an opportunity. So they are taking over hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm, and it was the best cast and crew we've ever had, and the best script we've ever had. And you can ask my wife, the commissioner, if she'll tell you that's true. She'll also tell you that I fucked it up, that I put too much disgusting, controversial stuff that's going to offend everybody, and I think she got that part right.
No, I thought it was brilliant.
Well, again, you are in the elite. You're, 40 years from now, you'll be 50 years old or whatever, and you'll see the Museum of Modern Art making a big stink about hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. Actually, there's a Broadway show now, a musical that's about to open called And Juliet, which is apparently from Juliet's point of view. So I'm hoping, being an eternal optimist, I'm hoping that maybe some of the critics will say, hey, they're the latest following TROMA's and James Gunn's Romeo and Juliet, that maybe it'll help us get a little bit of, gas.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to interject real quick because we're on the Metal Forge and this is a metal podcast. So I just wanted to touch on the fact that you and Lemmy Kilmister were very good friends, and he appears on not only your soundtracks but in some of your films. So can we just touch on your relationship with Lemmy? That would be really awesome if you want to talk about Lemmy a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. He and I were like I'm trying to think, kind of yin and yang, right? And I'm this bourgeois Yale guy who totally ignorant of his world and his culture, other than enjoying it. And he took a liking to me. He took a liking to our movies first. And then he dropped by our offices because we had a guy in L.A. who worked for us who somehow brought him there. And a long time ago. And then we gave him the biggest, the most dialogue in Romeo and Juliet, none of which a lot of which you cannot understand. I mean, it's very high.
That's Lemmy.
Yeah, but later on, we would give him subtitles. But he was a sweet guy. I really missed him. He died around my 70th birthday, I think. And we were on a family trip in the middle of nowhere, and it really hit me hard. I really got sad, and we did actually. We made a little tribute to Lemmy, and that you can see. I think it's on TROMA now. If not, it's on the TROMA channel on YouTube, which is mainly short pieces and political points of view that don't go on TROMA now. But he was a very nice guy. We'd go out. He didn't drive, and I drove him a few times. And he was just a nice, he was perfect, well-educated, well-spoken, a good guy. And I met his son twice. He hung out at the Rainbow, which is a landmark bar in Los Angeles and Hollywood, and that was his kind of his home, I think, other than where he lived. And his son was there a couple of times. Absolutely, totally nice guy. You would never know he was Lemmy's son. He was, very polite, very well spoken, deferential. Clearly. And Lemmy was very well educated. I don't think he wanted you to know that, but he knew a lot of history, war history, and he was, and I think he appreciated the fact that I didn't know much about the metal world or the punk world, or he and his guitarist. I think they just liked the fact that they didn't care when anybody's. Yeah, in fact, the first time I met Pete from the guitarist, he said, "You don't care about, you don't give a fuck about anybody." And I corrected him. "Oh, that's not true. I give a fuck about my wife and my family and you and friends and but I don't give a fuck about what you guys admire. You're right, but I do." And I love. Obviously, I'm a narcissist because I can't stop talking about myself. But the truth is, I'm a lucky bourgeois, white, dirty Jew who, luckily, had parents who could send them to Yale and get an education. And instead of becoming a hedge fund or becoming George Bush was in my class. George Bush, a W, please, not H. W. A lot of people ask me which Bush. And I could have gone that way maybe, but I chose, thanks to our good friend LSD, I chose a road taken. He was a big deal in my group, very influential one. But you mustn't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I have no fucking idea what you're talking about. I'm just clueless.
Not at all. It reminds me of something.
Definitely, LSD helped me make my choice of staying in New York and being in the underground, or I had a job offer in Los Angeles. A Barbra Streisand movie. I could have been cleaning toilets on that. For the whiniest.
So now I'm picturing
whiniest,
you and Barbra Streisand, and that's just kind of making me feel a little weird.
Right?
What's making what? Say that again.
You and Barbra Streisand makes me feel weird.
Oh.
You know, it's funny that you brought up our good friend LSD, because I was talking with my day job boss the other day, and I asked him something. I was like, "Do you remember this?" And he's like, "No." I said, "Wait till your next flashback, then you will." And he was just like, "What the fuck?"
Yes. Your next Iron Maiden flashback.
Yeah,
Yep.
yes.
So,
you know, I don't have a lot. I gotta go. I think in a little bit. Can we do another chapter of this, or?
Oh, of course.
Of course, if you want.
This will be a good to be continued.
Can we do?
Yeah, sure.
This
This is great. I'm having a great time. It's just I've got people I'm supposed to meet.
No problem. Can we do one thing real quick? Mark usually does like a question, like a roundabout question at the end of every interview. Can we just do one question with you real quick?
No, you can go longer. I just, we ought to taper off. That's all.
Okay.
Do what you normally do, and I'll try to be intelligent.
Definitely. Well, let's ask you some general questions here.
And he's like got this deck of cards, by the way, and he's kind of drawing random like questions. So it's random.
If you swapped genders for a day, how would you spend it?
Whoa. What age?
Any age you like, Lloyd.
If I was young, I'd certainly hook up with some carpet munchers. But as an old woman, I think I'd probably want someone to kill me.
Oh,
right? Don't you think?
Well, I mean, I don't know. There's some MILFs out there that are pretty hot.
That's not old, buddy. I'm talking about old.
Like if you're saying that if you were your current age, but just as a woman, you would rather somebody kill you.
I don't think I'd want to be around. But as a very young woman, well, as hashtag Shakespeare shitstorm. If you haven't seen it, I don't want to be a spoiler, but you might be able to ascertain what I would be like if I was a trans old woman.
Right?
Athena, yes?
Yes, I know. I'm sitting here telling
She's
Mark,
miming to me. She's like, he does that. I'm like,
I'm literally miming it to Mark.
But it's great.
It's absolutely.
Athena, you're going to draw a card now?
All right. I drew a card. All right, Lloyd. The card I drew says, "What gives you butterflies in your stomach?"
Ooh.
What gives you what?
What gives you butterflies in your stomach?
A real gun.
Whoa.
A genuine gun.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Even a fake gun, when it's on the set, I make them, even though we have professional, we don't save money on that part. But I look through the fucking barrel, even if it's fake or blanks or plastic or water pistol, I don't fuck around with that. And it gives just the idea of it. I definitely get butterflies. By the way, speaking of butterflies, there's a series on Netflix. It's French. It's called Black Butterflies. It's not funny at all. It's very dark, but it's pretty engaging. But it's in French. They have a good dubbing job. Since I speak French, I listen to it in French, but I still needed the subtitles. I learned French 50 years ago, 60 some odd years ago, and the patois is quite different.
Yeah, you blew me away at that interview. Actually, you just started speaking French out of nowhere to that guy, and I was like, whoa. Lloyd speaks fucking fluent French.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's the bourgeois, bougie. That's a bougie. I also majored in Chinese studies, and I would be making movies in China, except that they have gone a bad direction. I can't. I've stopped going there because of this racist, sexist dictator who's running the place now.
Right.
Genocide. There's no way I'll go there.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason, do you have a question you want to ask?
Yeah, I do actually.
Yeah.
What franchise, if you could kill one off permanently, what franchise would it be going right now?
Oh, that's a franchise. I mean, like Walmart.
Let's just stick to the film, since you're in the film world.
My lucky, I even 7-Eleven, a Dollar General. That's my speed. That's not. Well, Deadpool was great, and those guys love TROMA. They talk about TROMA, and when you look at Deadpool, you can see that it's, he talks to the camera, and it's very TROMA. It's funny and dark and not as violent, but it's. I'm trying to think. Certainly, the Guardians of the Galaxy. I haven't seen the third one, but the first two were incredible. They were great.
You were in the first one, weren't you, as a cameo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Third one too. I got killed in the first one.
Oh no!
So I couldn't be in the second one, but I am in the third one. I can't say any more.
Yeah, it's another one of those fucking non-disclosure agreements.
It's a franchise that James Gunn created out of nothing. Nobody ever heard. At least I never heard of it.
Right.
Suddenly here it is, the biggest thing in the world, and now he's running. He's running Warner Brothers, basically. DC movies. Good for him. It won't be. Hopefully, he won't make. If there is another Man of Steel, it's going to be good. James Gunn wouldn't permit it to be bad.
Right. Yeah, I don't think he would, honestly.
So for me, I don't know much about the franchises. I know about the three. I love the Three Stooges. And I love Laurel and Hardy, and that's kind of a franchise, and that stuff. But I'm old, so I haven't seen 52 Batman versions. So.
What was your opinion on that Three Stooges movie they put out like 10 years ago?
I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it, and I know, I thought it was very, very good. It was unique and it was original. I thought it wasn't just the obvious. Again, I wouldn't mind seeing it again because I really enjoyed it. Thanks for bringing it up. What do you think? Did you like it?
I actually never saw it.
It's hard to beat the original, but it was a good attempt. I didn't hate it. Like, it didn't make me mad, but nothing tops the shorts though in the 40s. So
it's very hard to do something like that because they were just clowns. They didn't have the deepness of Chaplin. Chaplin just covered so much territory: hilarity, politics, romance, and philosophy. Keaton also. These guys were iconoclasts, and they got into trouble.
Yep.
So the
when you get
Stooges
in trouble, you're making waves, and
Mm-hmm.
making waves is not a bad thing.
Say that again?
I said, but when you get in trouble, that means you're making waves, and making waves is not necessarily a bad thing.
Oh yeah, no, it's absolutely, you're right. Chaplin, he was rewarded for his genius of becoming an American citizen by being kicked out of the country and blacklisted and put up in Congress, and he was treated like shit. And Keaton was ruined by MGM. He was. After the general, they never let him alone, and they fucked up his whole career. And he's not alone. A lot of these geniuses were, the suits brought them down, like Gulliver's Travels, like the Lilliputians who brought down Gulliver.
Yeah.
Right.
Or like the cat's meow. You know what I'm talking about?
I didn't get to.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to go into it. You don't have a whole lot of time, but
anyway. Rings a bell, but what are you talking about?
We're talking about the whole scandal with him on the boat and like the murder and all that.
Wait a minute, you're breaking up. Say that again?
Oh, sorry. I'm talking about the whole scandal, like The Cat's Meow. It's a movie about the whole scandal with him, like on the boat, and there was like the whole murder rap and everything, but nobody ever actually got accused of it. There was always hearsay about who did it, but
Which murder? Which murder are we talking about? Is this William Randolph Hearst?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, The Cat's
right.
Meow. It's a movie based on the murder. Yeah, the murder of the Hearst boat. Yeah, which Keaton was privy to. He was there.
Oh wow. No, I haven't heard that, but I do listen to a podcast called "You Must Remember This" that talked about Hearst and the boat and who was on it, and I can't remember exactly who died or what happened, but it sounds like it got covered up pretty well.
Yep, it was all. That was the thing. It was all covered up, and that's kind of what the movie was all about. Was like the cover up of it and all that.
Whom do they suggest was a villain in the thing? Who killed the girl or whatever happened? I can't remember.
Well, it was actually, I'm a little buzzed because I've been drinking bourbon, but, and smoking my naughty stick, but, I can't remember dude's name right now, but he ended up killing what ended up being the lover of, like, the woman that he was in love with, and so.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, right, and he was like, famous.
Ashton.
Huh?
Ashton.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you. That's it. I couldn't think of it. Yeah, that's it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's the reference I was making.
I haven't seen that movie. I'll catch it. That sounds great.
Yeah,
by the way, of course,
me out. Yeah.
Fatty Arbuckle, who could have been up there with Keaton and Chaplin, who was brilliant. That fat guy who was hilarious and a wonderful athlete, and they ruined his career. He didn't. They claimed that he shoved a bottle up somebody's. Pussy. But the truth is that he didn't do it. He was acquitted 3 times, but they ruined his career. He was finished.
Yeah,
and he was great. I've seen his films. They were wonderful, lovely and funny, and
that's what happened.
Yeah. Well, thanks to you guys, Uncle Lloydie is still here and full of beans. So I better jump off. I've got to meet these people in like 2 minutes. That's nearby.
Yes, sir.
So
thank you so much for your time, Lloyd.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Athena and I can't remember your names.
Mark and Jason.
Yes, Jason and Mark. Thank you so much. And greetings from Tromaville. This is Lloyd Kaufman, Uncle Lloydie, coming to you direct from Forge Metal. And all I can say is support all kinds of metal, including metal fuck. And thank you very much for listening. I listened to Forge Metal for 200 episodes, and they're great. The 200th episodes would be the only one to skip. All righty, talk to you soon. Direct from Tromaville. The Toxic Avenger loves you and loves Forge Metal, and we would love Metal Forge too. Thank you so much from Tromaville. Hi.
Lloyd, thank you so much.
Yeah, you made it fun. You all made it fun, and let's keep going if you want to.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry I have to go. That's
no, you're totally
enjoy
good,
your
Lloyd.
Evening. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, good night, and thank you, and I love you, Athena. I love you, Jason.
Thank you, Lloyd.
And who's the other guy?
Mark.
Mark, I love you the most, Mark.
Oh, thank you, Lloyd. I love you too, buddy.
Tromark.
That's
Bye.
right. Tromark, Tro Jason, Tro Athena.
No,
Tromathena. Tromathena. So we're going to leave the Metal Forge here today with a new song by one of my favorite Louisville bands, Rifle. They did this little number for me for the 200th episode. This is Metal Forge.
Metal Forge.
wasteland. Come to my fire and place your blood and steel upon my pyre. Oh, this is the Metal Forge. 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 Metal Forge. My furnace starts to glow with crimson coals. My hammer beating out 1,000 blows. Oh, this is the Metal Forge. 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 From the highest mountains to caverns old, temper your weapons, temper your soul. Oh, this is the Metal Forge. This is the Metal Forge. Is the Metal Forge. This is the Metal Forge.
Hey, let me tell you guys about Mercenary Press. They're an independent London label and distributor of all things metal. Mercenary Press delivers the goods from their own independent zine. Trust me, you're going to want to get in on that. To distributing various bands from all over the world, including Cramp from Spain and Sadistic Force from Texas. Visit mercenarypress.bigcartel.com to find out what all they have in stock and what you can order. And for Metal Forge listeners, enter code MetalForge to receive a discount on your total purchase at mercenarypress.bigcartel.com. Check it out now.
2013, there has been a calling from the underground, from the graves of all those unholy, and they decided to make a zine to talk about all of this. Soul Grinder Zine, an independent metal zine to keep you informed on all things metal and horror from the underground. Available in both print and digital formats, they're bringing you the best interviews and reviews out there today. Not only do they do the zine, but they also do compilation CDs. Check them out at facebook.com/soulgrinder.zine and start your subscription now. Hey Metalheads, it's with great pleasure I get to tell you guys about a new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Ageless Art, New Albany. After 20 years of owning and operating Ageless Art in Clarksville, Indiana, Phil Garrett had a vision for a new type of tattoo studio. Something that is clean and modern, sleek, refined, inviting. And he's done just that with Ageless Art in New Albany. You can find it at 2736 Charlestown Road, New Albany, Indiana, 47150. Business hours are Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sundays are 12 to 6. All sessions are appointment only, so give them a call and go get you some new ink. Or if it's your first time, go get your first one, baby.
Hey everybody, let me tell you about the new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Unchained Tapes. They're an independent Pennsylvania tape label. They focus on extreme metal and punk with a killer approach to the tape scene. Visit their web store at unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com now to get your fill of tapes. And for being a Metal Forge listener, enter the code METALFORGE10 at checkout to get a 10% discount on your total purchase. That's unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com.
Hey guys, Wrestling Steve of the Wrestling Steve Show here. So if you're currently listening to the Metal Forge with Mark Jackson, then you understand that Mark Jackson has a pretty discerning taste when it comes to music as a whole. You'll also understand that he has a discerning taste for professional wrestling, just like me. My show is called the Wrestling Steve Show. I talk about modern and classic pro wrestling in a completely unbiased, unfiltered way. Be sure to check me out on all available podcasting platforms. That is the Wrestling Steve Show. And I am the host, Wrestling Steve. Just remember, like Confucius said, man who goes through turnstile in Thailand is going to Bangkok. Pro wrestling.
It's Gonna Get Weird is the name of the podcast. We're on season 2, so you have a whole season to get weird with Frank Green and Scott Clark. The best part is there's always laughter.
Oh, yeah, you can just pull that out.
We have national touring comedians, NFL stars, rock stars, your local friends. It always gets weird. Weird answers.
Have y'all ever snorted coke off of a 78 Pinto? No? You ain't no man.
Weird questions.
Who had a bigger cocaine habit, Jock Sutherland or Kaywood Ledford? Neither one, because they stopped beating their wives.
And weird we never even thought of.
Well, no. My friend is on acid, and I sent my friend to go find a payphone so that I can call and turn myself in for murdering this guy and ruin my life.
We love all types of people, but we don't love all people.
Weird. It's Gonna Get Weird is the name of the podcast, available everywhere. And thank you to Big X Sports Radio for being a proud sponsor of It's Gonna Get Weird. Frank Green, Scott Clark. Yeah.
Hey, thank you all for tuning into this week's episode of the Metal Forge. I want to take a minute to remind you guys about the Patreon page. Over on the Patreon page, we have the tiers set up to support the production of the show. We feature the Down and Dirty, which is just $1. There's nothing special for that one, it just sends me a thank you because every dollar helps. Then there's the Double Down and Dirty. Much akin to the Down and Dirty tier, everything helps produce the show in the end. You make your presence known, and I appreciate that more than you realize. Thank you for being a dedicated friend and supporter to the Metal Forge. By selecting that tier, you will receive some cool Metal Forge stickers in your mailbox. Now, we're really going to start pounding the metal madness with the Apprentice Metalhead for just $5 a month. By becoming an apprentice metalhead, you'll be given early access to the shows, published 24 hours before everyone else gets it. You're also going to receive 3 entries in any contest that we do here at the Metal Forge. You're also going to receive a 10% discount on all Metal Forge merch, and you're going to receive a sweet Metal Forge patch for your battle jacket or backpack. And now, here is the big one. This is the Master Metalhead for just $10 a month. By becoming a Master Metalhead, you will receive a hand-numbered Metal Forge Master Metalhead membership card. You're going to be given early access to the shows as well, with 36 hours before everyone else. You're going to receive 5 entries in any contest that we do here at the Metal Forge. You'll be able to submit audio questions that I will use on the show of you asking questions to the upcoming guests. Remember, timing is everything, and you will need to keep up with the upcoming guest list on the website. You're also going to receive advanced knowledge of any new merch coming out and be given a 25% discount on all Metal Forge merch. And you're also going to get all of the other rewards from the other tiers. So visit patreon.com/Metal Forge Radio today and help support the Metal Forge. Rock on.